What is a go-to joke you know nobody's heard before? My wife said she wants to, experiment more in the bedroom, but it looks like I'm in the control group. What do you call a little boy who's half French and half Scottish? A OUI lad. What do you call a child born out of incest? A gross domestic product. I know several jokes in sign language. I guarantee nobody has ever heard them. How many bones are in a human hand? More than a handful, less than. Old man sitting on a porch when he sees a young man walk by, dragging something behind him. Old man says, "What you got there?" And the young man replies, "Chicken wire." Old man asks, "What are you doing with chicken wire?" Young man replies, "I'm going to catch me some chickens." The old man laughs and says, "You ain't catching no chickens with chicken wire." Sure enough, later that evening, the young man walks by with a mess of chickens all caught in the chicken wire. Next day, old man sitting on his porch when the young man comes walking by, dragging something behind him. Old man says, "What you got there?" And the young man replies, "Duct tape." Old man again asks, "What are you doing with duct tape?" Young man replies, "I'm going to catch me some ducks." The old man laughs and says, "You ain't catching no ducks with duct tape." Sure enough, later that evening, the young man walks back with a mess of ducks all wrapped up in the duct tape. Third day, old man sitting on his porch when the young man again comes walking by, dragging something behind him. Old man says, "What you got there?" And the young man replies, "Pussy willows." Old man says, "Wait up, let me get my hat." What's the difference between a ribeye steak and a meteorite? One's pretty meaty, and the other's a little meteor. My 6-year-old daughter came up with this one last week. Which place has the most chairs? The city. On Sunday I stuck my hand into a feather pillow and had a rummage around. I did the same on Monday and Tuesday. This morning I went to my psychotherapist and told him I've been feeling down for a few days. This guy is feeling lonely and he decides to get an exotic pet. So he goes to the exotic pet store and looks around and suddenly he sees that there's a sale. Rare giant talking centipede. With house. $100. He decides he wants a talking centipede and takes it home. The guy and the centipede spend several days chatting and drinking beer, and they become good friends. One day, the guy says to the centipede, "Hey, centipede, let's go out to a movie." "Okay." 1 second, the centipede says, and he disappears into his house. 5 minutes go by. 10 minutes. 15. 20. Finally half an hour later the guy goes, "Hey centipede, you ready?" No answer. He taps on the house. "Centipede." The centipede pokes his head out and says, "Hang on man, I'm putting my ducking shoes on." How do you make a car top? Tap on the brake, stupid. What do you get when you cross human DNA with goat DNA? You get kicked the hell out of the petting zoo. An elderly couple were in church during the Sunday morning sermon. All of a sudden the wife whispers to her husband, "I've just done a silent fart. What should I do?" The husband replies, "Turn up your hearing aids." This is the only joke I know. A classic dumb blonde joke. A blonde is sitting in a shoe store surrounded by at least 50 boxes of shoes. She says to the shoe salesman, "None of these are good enough. Do you have some alligator shoes?" The exasperated salesman replies with some venom, "Lady, if you want alligator shoes, go get an alligator." Salesman driving home sees the blonde on the bank of the river. She is wrestling an alligator. An epic battle. At last, she throws the dead alligator on top of a pile of alligators next to her. While the salesman looks on in amazement, she says, "Damn, another one without shoes." I think there's something wrong with the cactus I'm growing, but I can't put my finger on it. I got it from Reddit before, so I don't know how common it is, but it makes me laugh every time. It's in basic Spanish. Hablo ingle registered sin es, sí. Como se dice un zapato en ingle registered sin es? A shoe. Salad. Gracious. 3 Catholic schoolgirls die in a bus crash and go to heaven. Street. Peter stands in front of the gate next to a golden font of holy water. He says, "Welcome little sisters. I'm so sorry you were taken before your time. You're all welcome, but I must ask you each a question." He goes to the first girl. "Mary Catherine, has any part of your body touched a boy's private parts?" Only my hands. Street. Peter nods and tells her, wash your hands in this font. Your sins will be cleansed and then you may enter the gates. And she does so. He turns to the second girl, Mary Frances. The third girl interrupts. Excuse me, father, could I gargle with that water real quick before Mary Frances sticks her ass in it? I am Buzz Aldrin, the second man to step on the moon. Kneel before me. This joke was in The Sopranos, but I loved it so much. A rich man and a poor man are both buying anniversary gifts for their girlfriends. What are you getting your girlfriend? Asks the poor man. And the rich man says I'm getting her a diamond ring and a Mercedes. Why both? Asks the poor man. And the rich man says that way if she doesn't like the ring she can still enjoy the Mercedes when she returns the ring. And then the rich man asks the poor man, what are you getting your girlfriend? And the poor man says I'm buying her a pair of slippers and a dildo. That way if she doesn't like the slippers she can go duck herself. How do you titillate an ocelot? You oscillate the tit a lot. 3 altar boys line up for confession. First one goes in and says, bless me father, I've committed impure acts with a girl classmate. Priest asks, was it Bridget O'Flaherty? Altar boy says, I can't say father. Priest asks, was it Caroline Murphy? The altar boy says, please don't ask father. Then the priest asks, was it Jennifer Smith? And the altar boy says, if I say who it is father, she could get a reputation. So the priest says, well, what you did was wrong and sinful. It is decent of you to withhold her name. For penance I want you to say 2 rosaries and you can't serve mass for a month. Leaving the confessional, one of the other altar boys asks him, what did you get? And he replied, a month off and 3 good leads. 2 horses were fighting over a hay bale. It was the last straw. What do you call it when a cow jumps over a barbed wire fence? Utter destruction. A man was passing by a mental asylum and was curious because all the patients were shouting 14 14 14. Now there was a huge wall that divided the public from the patients, so the man couldn't see what was going on. Because of his curiosity he naturally wanted to see what was happening. He managed to find a peeping hole to look through. As soon as he looked through the hole the man was promptly poked in the eye by a stick. That's when all the patients started shouting 15 15 15. Kid comes home from school and says, Dad, why did you name me Achilles? He is a Greek hero and we have no Greek in our family. Well son, you did make it through the Trojan Wall. So the head of Purdue Chicken manages to secure a meeting with the Pope. After all the formalities, he gets down to business and says, Purdue Chicken is prepared to donate $1 million to the Catholic Church if you change the Lord's Prayer from give us this day our daily bread to give us this day our daily chicken. The Pope says, heavens no. That's the Lord's Prayer. It's been that way for thousands of years. We couldn't just go and change it. The Purdue Chicken guy says, okay, $10 million. Think of all the charity and good the church could do with $10 million. And all you have to do is switch to Osagivus this day our daily chicken again. The Pope declines, saying, I am a man of integrity. This is a sacred prayer. This is the Catholic Church, for Christ's sake. The Purdue Chicken guy makes a quick call to his boss, gets off the phone, and makes the final offer to the Pope. Alright, $50 million. Osagivus this day our daily chicken. $50 million. Just a small word change and you can do so much good in the world. The Pope says, well, at least let me deliberate on it before making a decision. A few days later, the Pope gathers all the bishops and cardinals for an important meeting because he has an announcement to make. The Pope says, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is, the Catholic Church has received a generous donation of $50 million. The bad news is that we lost the Wonder Bread account. What's the difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo bean? I've never had a garbanzo bean on my face. An elderly couple was celebrating their 50-year anniversary at the local pub. After a couple of drinks, they started reminiscing about their sex life in the earlier stages of their marriage. They remembered one hot and heavy session they had behind the pub, with the husband doing her against the fence. They decided to try it again, to see if they could still do it. A policeman overheard their conversation, and decided to follow them outside as he didn't believe an elderly couple would ever be able to pull off such a maneuver. Lo and behold, the man had his wife up against the fence, going at it hammer and tong with loud moans and screams. When they had finally finished, the policeman had to know their secret and went over to ask. Well, said the wife, the last time we did that the fence wasn't electric. Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees? More than because they're pretty darn good at it, less than. My girlfriend used to smoke after 6. Well, that stopped once we started using lube. So a man moves to a small village and goes to the pub to make some friends. As he walks in the door, he hears someone shout out number 34. Everyone in the pub lets out a slight chuckle. He goes up to the bar and orders a beer. As the bartender is pouring it, another patron yells number 8, and everyone has a good laugh. Confused, the man asks the bartender what's with people calling out numbers. Well, this is a small town and everyone grew up together. After hearing the same jokes all the time, we decided to just number them, says the bartender. We hear the number, remember the joke and save some time. The new guy thinks about it for a second and yells number 93. The room erupts into chaos. People are laughing so hard that they're doubled over. Everyone is wiping tears from their eyes and a few are having a hard time catching their breath. The man tells the barkeep, wow, number 93 must be pretty good. Once the barkeep is able to calm himself, he says, we've never heard that one. Alternate ending. A guy in the corner stands up and calls out number 17. Silence. The townsfolk just look down in discomfort. The new guy says to the bartender, wow, number 17 must be bad. Well, yeah, no. Some people can tell a joke and some just can't. What's the difference between an oral thermometer and a rectal thermometer? The taste.